my mic up. TORAH, new TORAH movie. Tell them tanks on the ground.
When I was there, the Father raised me up, He raised me up. And all my sins, He never gave me up. And all my wrongs really take me up. They heard them tanks up on the ground, say I done wrecked them up. New TORAH movie, how did you do it? I don't been through it. Going with that TORAH, can we keep going in me? Hey, new TORAH movie, yeah, it's good, I know he's great. Watch out what he got tricks. When it ain't nobody knows the thought, but they believe I'm watching. They entertain the angels, but they don't understand. They stuck up in their pride, everybody wanna be the man. I'm surrounded by visions, like my tribe in the vision. Just a light, the Judah vultures like thighs on the ceiling. I'm waiting on the promises, eyes on the million. Tempted by money and love, regard your feelings. I speak that spirit cause I breathe that. New TORAH movement, they might become the freedom. They see the tanks on the ground, they holler freedom. When I was there, the Father raised me up, He raised me up. And all my sins, He never gave me up. And all my wrongs really take me up. They heard them tanks up on the ground, say I done wrecked them up. New TORAH movement, how did you do it? I don't been through it. Going with that TORAH, can we keep going? Hey, new TORAH movie. I put my life up on the line like a bitch, no, they don't hear me, no. I get them hooked, I bet they feel me, though. They took my heart, I had the rhythm slow. Moving where the river go. No, this not a river boat. I just make them feel the flow. But I don't think they really know. Got on my woman, got my sword, it's time to really go. They walking dead, man, this really roll. Make you lose your head if you really know. TORAH about to really blow. Believe that, believe that. Get them my heart if you need that. Believe that, believe that. You never scared, you know what we at. When I was there, the Father raised me up, He raised me up. And all my sins, He never gave me up. And all my wrongs really take me up. They heard them tanks up on the ground, say I done wrecked them up. New TORAH movie, how did you do it? I done been through it. Going with that TORAH, can we keep going in me? Hey, new TORAH movie. And I've been tempted, trying to blind my way. And I've been praying, I'm counting blessings every time I wait. I need your spirit, hold my hand, I'm trying to find my way. They caught them tanks, they bout that TORAH, bitch, they out my way. And I've been tempted, trying to blind my way. And I've been praying, I'm counting blessings every time I wait. I need your spirit, hold my hand, I'm trying to find my way. They caught them tanks, they bout that TORAH, bitch, they out my way. It's up with them breasts, get it like in the bridges. I can't free the button, I've been through the trenches. Can't stop making block me with fears. Simple, I thought I'm hella big. We make a move on them on a mission. Word on me, I'm fish. Better man, that's a big one. We don't hurt them, we heal them. Just wait a minute, I said it, they wanna get heated. Now touching this subject, they feel it. I said it, but telling the chillin', they really not seeking that God, then they really hot. I go to war with them. Call on that spirit, they so get them. I'm clean about the floor with them. Step on the devil like we take that ladder up. Spirit, they yeah, taking that battle us. Try to knock us, try to battle us. Pushing them horses, we about to saddle up. Add it up, so sick, had enough. You go get it if you really want it bad enough. And I've been tempted, trying to blind my way. And I've been praying, I'm counting blessings every time I wait. I need your spirit, hold my hand, I'm trying to find my way. They caught them tanks, they bout that TORAH, bitch, they out my way. And I've been tempted, I've been tested, trying to block my way. And I've been praying, I'm counting blessings every time I wait. I need your spirit, hold my hand, I'm trying to find my way. They caught them tanks, they bout that TORAH, bitch, they out my way. I made up my mind, you had to go get it, that grind, they towing the TORAH like 9, I'm spitting that bread like a hollow, that swallow, we picking them nose, we find them, hold up, tell her bring it back like we rolled up, pulled up, hot out the shoulder, speak the word, and you know what's, I got that spirit, be the proof, they nigga for the lie, but get the truth, you better follow this, they fool by the sense of belief in the politics, they selling you dreams, better step out of it before you reality, on the block, but they say by the brick, save us, so tell them to spot it, ain't a dog, but he got me tick, like a bomb, I'm by the tick, give me your sheep, I will feed them, show me the way I will lead them, give me your word to reach them, by your love I teach them, by your love I teach them, I'm just trying to reach them, trying to infiltrate the word, don't let's read the need, and I've been tempted, trying to block my way, and I've been praying, I'm counting blessings every time I wait, I need your spirit, hold my hand, I'm trying to find my way, they caught them tanks, they bout that TORAH, bitch, they out my way, and I've been tempted, trying to block my way, and I've been praying, I'm counting blessings every time I wait, I need your spirit, hold my hand, I'm trying to find my way, they caught them tanks, they bout that TORAH, bitch, they out my way.
Let me give all praise to the Heavenly Father. By the power of His word, I rock. Hallelujah. Give me a second to share my screen, family. Is Genesis historical? We'll take a look into Genesis. It's part 1, family. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Is Genesis historical? Is Genesis historical? And I'm going to start off with Matthew 13 and 52 to give a little bit of understanding, family. Then said he unto them, therefore, every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is in household, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. So we need to understand the scribes. They make a big deal when it comes to these scriptures. They play a key role in these scriptures. Matthew 23 and 13. A woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against man. So we see that these scribes and these Pharisees held high power. They had knowledge. The scribes, they put the scriptures together. They documented. So they knew mysteries, and they would hide things from the people. But we see 2 Timothy 2:15 told us, study to show thyself approved unto Yah, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So many people hold the Bible as idolatry. This is a study tool. And if you believe that Adam, the Israelites, and these things in this book is true and real, then you should hold them to historical accounts. You shouldn't just take Adam's story as allegorical or metaphorical as if it never happened. We should see these things as historical events, even though the stories have allegorical and metaphorical ideas in them. We're going to go to Genesis 1. And I call this the youngest driest because if we hold Genesis account to a historical account, as we should, if you believe in these historical figures, you should. The Genesis account literally dates back to the Younger Dryas era, after the last ice age. It said, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So this, remember, we're dealing with the scribes who put this together. This is their narration. You must study to show yourself approved. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So Genesis literally is dating back to the Younger Dryas era, historically. We see in the verse there is a cataclysm. That's why the earth is without form and void. And darkness is upon the face of the deep. So we do see allegory within the story, but these are historical events. See, 2 Peter was teaching them something. 3 and 5, for they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of Yah, the heavens were of old. See, the heavens are of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. And if you know the Genesis account, starting with verse 1, all the way to the 7th day is the flood. Because in verse 8, Peter tells us, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with Yah as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day, one day. So he literally correlates this scripture to the creation story, to the events of the flood. But he starts off with, for they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of Yah, the heavens were of old. Now he's dealing with Adam's time, because we know from Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Adam lived before that. And it tells us, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. This is key points also, because Noah's flood tells us every high hill was covered. But the next verse tells us, whereby the world then was, being overflowed with water, perished, which takes us to Noah. And if you know the 7-day cycle, 7,000 years, that literally puts Noah in the 7th day of the Genesis story. The 7th day of the Genesis creation story, the 7,000 year of that age, it's just the flood of Noah. So we're dealing with a cataclysm of the Younger Dryas period. Then we get to the Noah stories, 7,000 years later. So we go to the humanoriginsproject.org. Human prehistory coincides precisely with the transition out of the last ice age. They're literally putting us at this time period, in the time era. So does the Bible of the Genesis story. When you date it historically, there's no consensus on what caused this rapid rise in global temperatures. And there's more to the mystery. In a geological instant, the Earth returned to almost full glacial conditions. Temperatures dropped as low as they had been at the peak of the Ice Age. This climate period lasted around 12,000 years. Then, once again, temperatures abruptly spiked back up at 11,006 years ago. It is the date that the Younger Dryas ends and human prehistory begins. Coincidence? Highly unlikely. So see, literally, this is where they put us in pre-human history. Literally, historically dating the Bible, the Genesis story will put us in the same time period of the cataclysm of the last ice age coming into the Younger Dryas period, which caused a flood and rapid rises in temperatures and cataclysms across the earth. The UCSB, CRG, and University of South Carolina Institute for Archaeology and Anthropology shows about 12,800 years ago, family. If we date back 12,800 years ago, we're putting us back to Genesis, the Genesis story of creation, which is not a literal creation. Remember, it says to replenish the earth, which means there were already people living on the earth. They're survivors. It tells us a giant broken up comet caused airbursts or craters across northern hemisphere, deposited melting material in the Younger Dryas boundary. Layer melted part of huge northern ice sheets covering Canada and Europe, halted circulation of massive amounts of ocean water in North Atlantic, triggered 1,100-year-long climate cooling. Remember in Genesis, we're dealing with 7,000-year cycles. Each day is 1,000 years. It's what Peter literally correlates that scripture back to the Genesis story, correlating it to Genesis and ending it with the Noah, the flood. It says triggered 1,100-year-long climate cooling called the Younger Dryas, contributed to the extinction of millions of large animals. Megafauna caused a major decline in human population levels of approximately 50%. So we see from this cataclysm, majority of the earth died. So many people, half of life on earth died. So now we get to Genesis 1 and 3. Then Yah said, let there be light. And there was light. So what is this light we're dealing with, family? This is what we need to understand. We're going to go to Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 29. It says, for she is more beautiful than the sun. We're dealing with wisdom. And above all the order of stars being compared with the light, she is found before it. So remember that spirit in Genesis 1 that's hovering upon the face of the waters. Now those waters is allegory because those are people during the cataclysm. That's what we need to understand. But this light, we see wisdom is before this light. He said, let there be light. So this spirit is what's hovering upon the face of the people. And upon this earth is the mind of wisdom, a spirit of the Most High. So she's hovering upon the face of the people and upon the earth, going out and through the minds of men. The Most High says, let there be light. And Yah saw the light, that it was good. So if wisdom is there, hovering upon all things, what is this light that wisdom brings? She's before light. She is bringing this light. She's hovering upon the face of these waters. Wisdom is. Or the 2 Corinthians 6 and 14 tells us. See, Paul, even he was teaching his disciples. They're literally correlating back to the creation story, which is not a literal creation. It says, but you, not unequally. Say, be you not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? So they literally correlate back to these stories. And he's going back to the creation story. And this is what we're literally saying. You're like, where's Paul getting these things? Where's he going back to? Because we know Paul quotes from the Old Testament. So where's Paul quoting from? What is he talking about? He's talking about the Genesis story. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? So now what are we dealing with? This light that is good. It's righteousness. That's why he correlates it with light and darkness. He says, and what communion hath the light with darkness? So now we see that this light that wisdom brings is righteousness. And Yah saw the righteousness, that it was good, that wisdom brought. And Yah divided the light from the darkness. So he divided righteousness from unrighteousness. He divided good from evil. Remember, there's survivors on earth. Even these disciples and the prophets know this. It's just modern day people teaching this nonsense, as this is a little creation. In the sense they're calling it. And Yah called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So he called the righteousness day. Wisdom that brought righteousness, he called that day. And the darkness he called night. So he called evil, wickedness, unrighteousness, he called it night. And pay attention, family. It's a period there. It tells us, and the evening and the morning were the first day. That's separated. We know evening and morning is day. Makes up a whole day, according to the scriptures. We have evening and morning. So we have day. This light and this darkness is not a part of what this day is talking about. This day is a 1,000-year cycle. So in this 1,000 years, he separated righteousness from unrighteousness. From these survivors. Remember, this is a cataclysm. You got to understand what people are trying to survive, them, what kind of evil and wickedness is occurring. Cannibalism, murder, great, all type of things are occurring in these time periods. People living in caves, living in mountains, trying to survive. It says, pay attention, it says, for you were, this Ephesians 5:8, for you were sometimes darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. See, Paul is correlating this age in Genesis, this 1,000-year age of this day. See, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So in this first age, when righteousness was separated from unrighteousness. We're children of the light. We're children of righteousness, of wisdom. We go to 1 Thessalonians 5:8. It says, verse 5, you are all the children of light and the children of the day. See, this day, and God called the light day. That we see in the Genesis, that's what he's talking about. Wisdom brought righteousness. It's what wisdom hovered upon the face of the people, upon the world. But through the minds of men, it brought forth righteousness. And those that were wicked, they were separated from those that were righteous. And these are survivors in Genesis. That's why we get to the Adam story, thousands of years later. You are all the children of light and the children of day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. So we're not the children of night, nor the children of darkness. See, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. We're not children of the night, we're children of the day. So we see in the beginning when he separated righteousness from unrighteousness after the cataclysm during the youngest dryas era, historically. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, as they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober. See, we are of the day. It tells you the attributes of those. Putting on the breastplate of faith and love. And for a helmet, the hope of salvation. So you put on the spirits of the Most High, of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, might, and counsel, fear of Yah. That's a child of the day, a child of light. He separated those from the children of darkness, those that are of the night. And this was done in Genesis. There was already a separation done. So we jump to Genesis 1:6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So we're dealing historically with reconstructing the atmosphere after the Younger Dryas era. If you do scientific studies, you understand this. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. What we call heaven, the sky, the atmosphere. And the evening and the morning was the second day. This is done in the second 1,000-year cycle. So while we have survivors on earth in the first 1,000 years, right, unrighteous men and women being separated from righteous men and women. We're seeing the earth is being corrected by the Most High. He's putting it back in order. He's reconstructing the atmosphere. The water cycle is being taken into effect. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. We're still dealing with the water cycle. Condensation, precipitation. And we see when the waters are gathered together, and it's no longer flooded, we see that the land appears again. As we see as floods occur on earth in our times through storms. Land disappears, it's covered. You don't see it for a period of time. The Most High, during the Youngest Dryas event, after the ice melted and caused these floods and this cataclysm, he began to correct the earth, putting it back in order after he brought righteousness and separated it from unrighteousness, because he brought forth wisdom that hovered upon the face of the people. Because the world was in darkness and wickedness. So we see the earth is correcting itself. The lands are now receding from this water is receding off the lands. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. Remember, the scribes are writing this narration. Always remember that, family. So study yourself to be approved. Because the teachers was telling us these things are called these things that we were taught from. So then you get to, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. So we see that literally in the verses, the waters are gathered together. The earth is receding from all this flood. So now grass can begin to grow again. Seed can begin to reproduce. We go to medium.com. Mass extinctions are rapid disappearances, events that occur over a brief time in Earth history. These include marine and terrestrial life and associated with cosmic impacts and huge environmental changes. These include extreme weather, volcanic activity, and rapid climate change over long spans of time. Of all the species of plant and animals who have ever lived, 99.9% are now extinct. This is what they're telling us. From all these occurrences on Earth, 99.9 are now extinct. So there's only 1% of what ever existed on Earth. It's here. The question remains, what happened to them? There have been several mass extinction events throughout prehistory that has seen life on Earth dramatically reduced. And the last one we've seen was the youngest dryas period. We go to scientificamerican.com. It says, no such hypothesis is sufficient to explain either the cataclysms or the glacial phenomena, and we need not hesitate to confess our ignorance of this strange, this mysterious episode in the history of the globe. So scientists confessing their ignorance, not understanding how this truly happened, but they're giving us scientific hypotheses and things that occurred. But we know, we believe in the Bible, we know that the Most High brought this judgment upon the world. We know he corrected the earth, brought it back in order. Scientists are paused at those things. They don't understand it, but they know it occurred. I best believe the scientists that do believe in a God, they know that. They're not puzzled by it. They understand it. There are various methods to reconstruct the plant community of a past landscape. Flowering plants produce pollen, the grains composed by chemically very stable substance named sopilinin. Therefore, pollen grains usually are well preserved in sediments, but as correctly noted in the comments, not in soils. Identifying and counting the pollen deposited over time on the bottom of a lake or conserved in layers of a bog, we can infer the vegetation that once surrounded these sediment traps. And such sediments also plant nutrients can be conserved. So they're saying through this cataclysm, they're trying to reconstruct how life survived, how plants survived this cataclysm. See, they come up with their own doctrines, even though they're doing scientific experiments. Many animals transport and store plant detritus in their burrows. So we see even by animals, they're telling us that when this event happened, animals begin to migrate also. So there were some surviving animals. They begin to transport plant seeds. The conserved seeds of S. Sotifilia were found in ancient ground coral ketchup. Apart trying to grow the seeds, the fragments of leaf, blossom, buds, and seeds can often be identified to species levels to help to reconstruct the vegetation inside the range of activity of the former burrows occupier. So they know these things. They try to reconstruct how these plants survived, how they were migrated, because they have plant migration. They also show how the sparrows are key players in pollination and seed dispersal. Their presence enhances biodiversity, making them crucial for the health of both rural and urban ecosystems. So through the cataclysm of Genesis in the Younger Dryas era, some of these plants survived by the animals and some humans, but by animals, birds, through their feces, and through birds transporting seeds dispersal. That's how a lot of these things survive. We're dealing with the story before we get to Adam. Because this historically puts Genesis in the Younger Dryas period, which shows why the prophets have been teaching what they're teaching. They're not teaching Adam being the literal first man. Adam is a survivor, risen up by the Spirit of the Most High. So we get to Genesis 1 and 14. It says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven. I think I missed something. Go back. So when we get to God saying, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven, there was no one there seeing God saying this. That's why we got to understand the scribes write narration. We got to understand the oral tradition passed down. Because remember, we're in Genesis. Peter already told us the creation story. When we all the way leading up to Noah's flood is dealing with 1,000-year periods. He's letting us know that day with the Lord in Genesis, those 7 days are 1,000-year cycles. Literally, Peter correlates this verse to creation. See, a lot of people can't take that verse out of context because Peter's correlating it to the creation story. Earth standing in and out of the water, and then the earth being overflowed with water. That begins with Genesis. Earth standing in and out of the water. It ends with Noah on the 7th day, the earth being overflowed with water. Within those 7,000 years, so we have the true historical events, even lining up with history. And we know for a fact that the Genesis flood was a global flood, but it's not a flood as you would see the Noah flood. It's not a global flood saying everything was flooded out. No, it's certain areas were flooded over periods of time, destroying sediments of the earth, destroying civilization. It killed because of this flood. It wasn't only a flood, and we're gonna see that. It says, we go over here. It says comments and asteroids. Under this hypothesis, that the atmospheric debris, cometary dust, smoke from raging biomass fires and vaporized rock will have created a dense upquake veil around the earth. So when you're saying God said, let there be lights, he's correcting the earth. He's fixing the atmosphere. The smoke, the fog, the debris, the veil that's around the earth is being pulled away over periods of time. That's the oral tradition that's being passed around because they're living in caves and in mountains and in areas that is no longer frozen or flooded. Some parts of Africa they're still living. And they're passing down the oral tradition of over these periods of years, 1,000 years are going by. So they're continually passing down this tradition. No sun, earth being blocked out. That's why we can see this in old traditions. And then we see the light comes back. They have sun, they have light once again. This is what Genesis is dealing with. So tradition passed down that the light finally we can see it again. Because sunlight would have been heavily diffused or entirely blocked, causing skies to turn dark or a dim reddish orange, and leading to an abrupt, severe plunge in global temperatures. So by the sun being blocked out, you can't see nothing. Temperatures change. Skies could be different colors, orange, red, or dark, just dark, or dim. And then you have nighttime. The view of the moon and stars would also have been severely obscured by the high altitude haze. So you won't be able to see the stars or moon at night. So when we deal with Genesis story, these things are being corrected. This is oral tradition passed down. For people to even see this stuff occurred during the youngest dryas era. And then we have scientists literally, this is science telling us what happened in this era. But we go to the Bible, the prophets literally telling us what occurred back then. But if you're reading it as a Christian story or fairy tale, you don't understand this is historical events they were teaching. But you have to read it as history if you believe these characters are actually real. If you don't believe these characters are real, I understand. If you believe Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all these are real people, you have to read these as historical events. You believe that Exodus happened, you have to read Genesis as historical events, but they're allegorical stories. Literally a historical event, but it's allegorical. It's dealing with the youngest dryas period, scientifically and historically. And we see the sun and the moon is blocked out. So we know the Most High. Now it says, and God made two great lights. These are past tense reading. Y'all know how to read also. Two great lights. The greater to rule the day and the lesser to rule the night. He made the stars also. See, this is somebody telling about what occurred. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So we see through this cataclysm, we're able to now see the sun and the moon because the haze, the fog, the dust, the debris is gone. You can now see the sun in the daytime. You can now see the moon at night and the stars. But we know scientifically they teach us because it says an asteroid impact 12,800 years ago also may have been the reason for a mini ice age that wiped out 35 creatures. This is species. The initial impact caused wildfires and so much smoke that the sun was blocked. See, this is scientific. And 12,800 years ago puts us back to the Genesis story of this cataclysm. The heat is also thought to have melted a huge glacier, causing global climate change. So Genesis, we see that Let's go to the next. Genesis 1:20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowls that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So he said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life. It already hath life, what he was speaking of. But he's bringing forth surviving animals, bringing forth, remember when ice melted, scientific also. The ice began to melt during Young and Dryas era. The fish eggs and seeds that begin to rehatch and regrow. We have the animals be in the water be coming back again. But many birds, we have scientifically, they survive. Many died off, many species, but we have survivors scientifically. We have humans scientifically survive. But what we're dealing with here is knowledge and migration. Adaptation and migration. See, at the onset of the Young and Dryas, there was a massive worldwide extinction of mammals weighing over 40 kilograms. It's estimated that 82% of these animals disappeared in North America, 74% in South America, 71% in Australia, 59% in Europe, 52% in Asia, and 16% in Sub-Saharan Africa. So we know that many animals did survive in Africa. Fossil evidence suggests the disappearances were very sudden. In addition to the extinction of the mammoths and the disappearance of horses in North America, other species, including bison, deer, and moose, suffered massive population loss. So some of the animals didn't die. They suffered population loss, like bison survived but experienced significant population bottlenecks. Moose and elk adapted to the shifting taiga and tundra environment. Brown bears and wolves retained populations by following shifting prey dynamics. So some of these animals survived through the migration and adaptation. So he repopulates the earth. He brings a lot of these eggs that are frozen from the ice, fish eggs and such, come back to life. We see that scientifically done, also found today. You can look that up. The organisms that were frozen for 2,000 years have come back to life and can reproduce. Scientifically, you can look this up, family. But this is what's going on here. That the Most High is correcting the earth. Animals are now being to migrate and adapt, build families. Because animals are scarce and people are scarce. People are hunting, killing down animals. And he puts the wisdom upon men and the animals, correcting us all and upon the world. So he begins to correct the animals. They begin to migrate and adapt to the environments, to reproduce. We're dealing with reproduction of animals here. And God's blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Remember, this is all oral tradition passed down. All of this Genesis is oral tradition passed down. Excuse me, family. The Genesis story is oral tradition. All the stories become oral tradition passed down, but many of the stories are written down since the time a little bit after Abraham. You begin to get these writings after Abraham rules with the over 400 men he had. You get writings from that time period that we have writings from our people. But before that, family, we have mostly oral tradition. Besides when we go into Sumeria, we go back to our older family members. Before the flood and back to Africa once again, you'll see the oldest writings that we ever did have. But once we transfer down to the biblical migration, the Genesis story is passed down orally by the time we get to Sumeria. So we're living in Sumer, the ancestors we had then, before we ever existed as Israel. We have this oral tradition in Sumer. They document it scarcely though. We know it's corrupted by Nimrod. We know the prophets reconstruct the story through the biblical narrative. That's why you got to understand the mystery. The prophets reconstruct the story that was corrupted in Sumer by Nimrod. Almost done, family. This is just part one because we're going to get into part two. See, the replenishing. See, this is a lot of things people miss. We go to Genesis 1:26. And God said, let us make man in our image. See, this is a problem here about trying to make this a creation story of man. Literally, the verse is telling us man exists already. It says that God said, let us make man in our image, which God is telling us that man exists. He just wants to form man into his image. This is what people are missing. The verse tells you that man exists. So man already exists in the verse. He just wants to conform man to his image and his likeness. How do we know this? Because John 4:24 tells us God is a spirit, which tells us man already exists. God is not a man. God is a spirit. See, they don't even know what's going on in Genesis. So who is trying to conform man to their image and after their likeness? Because God is a spirit. Man already exists right here in the verse. They don't want to create man or make man and then period. They want to make man in an image. I mean, after a certain way, after a likeness, our likeness. Whose likeness? Their likeness. But because we go to Wisdom of Solomon 7:26 tells us, for she is the brightness of the everlasting light. Who is she? She is wisdom, family. The unspotted mirror. So wisdom is the unspotted reflection of the power of Yah and the image of his goodness. So if you want to know the image of Yah or God, it's wisdom, the ways of wisdom. And being but one, she can do all things. See, a lot of people miss that. And being but one, she can do all things. So man exists in the Genesis verse already. They're just trying to conform him to the image and the likeness after them. Okay. God is a spirit, not a man. So Adam is a man. Adam is flesh. So this is not a spirit here in the verse. This is a man being conformed after something else. We see the image of God is his wisdom. That's the image of his goodness. And she can do all things, being but one. Because she comes from the mind of God. It's a part of his mind. So this is what they miss. God is a spirit. The man exists in the verse already. And to be after the image of God, you have to be wisdom, not a physical image. It's a mind, a spirit, conforming your mind under that wisdom to the image of his goodness. That's what it is. Wisdom is that image of his goodness. The unspotted reflection of the power of Yah and the image of his goodness. So we jump down. Oh, well, let's go down. It says, so God created man in his own image. And in the image of God created he him. So man is now conformed unto this image of what God is. And the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Remember, Adam and Eve exist here in Genesis 1:26. But they're not the only man or woman, because Adam means mankind. Man, it means man, ground, dirt, humankind. A man, mankind means man and woman. Because Eve is also Adam. So we have Adam and Eve, the literal person who we call, that we see in chapter 2, they exist in chapter 1 and 26 with other people because they're survivors on the earth. So he conforms man into his image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. So now they're replenishing the earth, which tell us that there are survivors already on the earth. Mankind existed on this earth already. Life already existed well before them. Is what this verse tells us. And it tells them, and subdue it. So now they have to conquer this earth. They have to bring it under their power, under their rule. How we know that? Because it tells them, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the face of the earth, which are other people. Animals and other people. They have to subdue the earth now. They're not subduing it from animals, ruling and building kingdoms. They have to subdue it from other people. So Adam goes into the garden, which is Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is what the garden is. Jerusalem is literally supposed to be the Garden of Eden. That's the Garden of Yah. And we know it's to be Jerusalem. That's named after his name, Yerushalayim. So Adam goes to the garden or into this land. There's already people there. As we see, we do in our narrative. Because this land always been given to us, even through descendants of Adam. Why? Because all people don't come from this one man. I mean, great multitudes of people on this earth do now today. But there's people on this earth that do not come from this Adam. But he tells them to replenish this earth. So they have to replenish this earth. They have to resubdue this earth. They have to retake over this earth. They have to subject these other people. Bring them under their doctrine, their rulership. That's why you get to chapter 2. Adam is given a law. Adam is given a helper, Eve. She's supposed to help him subdue this world, to bring it back under righteousness. But they failed at doing that. Who is teaching man when you get into Genesis? It said all this for a reason, because you ain't speaking to God in these verses. You're speaking to the one that you always speak to, a priest. And the Bible, the scriptures teach you that. You know, it's always the priest who they're dealing with. They're dealing with a high priest. He is the angel of Yah. Remember that. So what beings are they dealing with in this verse? Who is teaching man? Because remember, the spirit of wisdom is hovering. We know the spirit of God, Yah, is hovering upon the people. So when we get to chapter 2 of Adam, that spirit of wisdom, that goes into Adam. That's the breath. That wisdom is that breath. So we're going to get into part 2 on it. That is that breath. But there's other people here teaching Adam them. They're not just here alone. They're being taught. You should already know who some of the people are teaching them. But they're being taught, and they're being given the spirit of wisdom by the Most High. But they're being taught by others. The prophets existed from the beginning of time. Prophets didn't begin with Israel. But we're going to do that in part 2. I start coming on earlier, family, because I'm finna start. My schedule shifted. Now I'm finna start coming on more often and coming on at earlier times. I dropped the link, so I know it's late, so nobody probably not gonna come on, but because how late it is. But I'm gonna start coming on more often, family. So be prepared and be ready. So we're gonna do more part. We're doing a segment of this, Genesis. We have to go over these scriptures and get true understanding. Anybody want to hit the link anytime we go into it and give their input, what they've learned, what they believe, so they can understand the truth, or maybe they have truth to bring. We can do so, family. I'd like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father by the power of His word, our rock. Hallelujah, family.
I stand up for y'all, but I don't anything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change. That's loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, me from above. I stand up for y'all, but I don't everything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change. Never change. Loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, me from above. I stand up for y'all, and the spirit in me. They out that black, cause that's them bricks he was building in me. I love that brother with a fan, cause they ain't really friendly. Sleeping on the floor, had nothing, they don't really fit me. Raised them on like he was 10, no, they don't really hit me. Women make me blowin' smoke, it's a chimney. Ain't no joke, I'm on it with me. I'm known from blocks to hoods, no need to mention names. Oh yeah, we do this for y'all, but that don't mean anything. If for them babies, they had nothing but it breathe for rain. If for them young ones, they would be, it would raise the pain. I bring that sword from my mouth, we gon' make a change. I stand up for y'all, I won't breathe his name. I stand up for y'all, but I don't anything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change. That's loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, we from above, yeah. I stand up for y'all, but I don't everything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change. Never change. Loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, we from above, yeah. Stay on my toes and watch my back, I know them devils creeping. Walk with the spirit, got that word, they can hear it breathing. Don't rub my back, don't grab my fringe, though I hate that genie. That spirit bird, can I be moving, though you can't see me? I'm not from this world, you better tell somebody, bro. Real a problem for the dollar, they'll sell it back. I can feel your pain, cause they don't care about them. Walk through that fire for them, like, yeah, I got him, you want it, oh yeah, I got it. Tell them numbers, it's too late for them. It just make time, the father, he'll wake it down. Gotta wait for them, better wait for them, and not play with them. I stand up for y'all, but I don't need anything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change. That's loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, me from above, yeah. I stand up for y'all, but I don't everything, everything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change, never change. That's loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, me from above, yeah.
Hallelujah, family.
Know he got my back and he won't ever change. That's loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, me from above, yeah. I stand up for y'all, but I don't everything, everything. Know he got my back and he won't ever change, never change. Loyalty, that's love, yeah. Me from the bottom, me from above. I stand up for y'all, and the spirit in me. Stay up that black, cause that's the